Hi Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I am going to be doing your March 2021 full moon reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload new videos, and I upload all the time, just hit the bell notification button. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading and clear the energy space, once again, a reminder not to be scammed by anybody in the comment box pretending to be me offering you a reading. This person is not me. They are a scammer. Do not be scammed. I will not be soliciting you for anything. Now, with that said, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Fantastic. Let's let the bowls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. Fantastic. And let's see the chakra energy for this time. How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Fantastic, these two. We're actually going to put right here. And then the spirit guide message for this time. How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Fantastic. Now we're going to see how the moon, laid out right here from full moon to full moon on the 28th of March and on the 27th of April, affects you, Aquarius. And then we have the spirit guide, animal messages, there we go. The chakra message, the spirit guide message, all correlating, of course, to the tarot. Now the left-hand side is going to be the inner self. The middle is the heart, the emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So we have the Page of Wands, which is fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This is a big deal because we do have the new moon in Aries, but also the time period that we are in is in Aries for this moon. And that's in direct kind of polarization to the moon in Libra. So that energy is really quite powerful. We then have the Page of Cups, which is water sign energy, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. The full moon on the 27th of April is in Scorpio. We have the Nine of Swords and the world opening up. So it's funny, it's like once we're becoming a student of our passion and of our hearts, and once these moons teach us what they need to teach us, what the new moon and the full moon teaches us, what we need to see, we're going to find ourselves being tested and then being more confident. So that's going to be really quite cool. And the energy around here is going to be, is really lovely. The Three of Cups, okay. The King of Wands, this Aries energy, gaining momentum. Also, again, fire sign energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. We have the Five of Swords, and we have the Hierophant coming forward, which is, of course, Taurus energy, time frame, April 20th to May 20th. We have the Three of Swords, the repeat of the number 3, shows that divinity is watching over us. We have the Emperor, which is amplifying this Aries energy, which takes us from student to king to now embracing the very essence of it in the public arena. We have the Ten of Swords, so we have a dying away of the old self, this rebirth of the new. And again, we're going from student to knight here. And this is being the defender, the Knight of Cups, for water sign energy, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, the defender of what we want, of where we're headed, and what we desire from our lives and from ourselves. Okay, so let's see how this all correlates to the moon. The moon, of course, again, is on the 28th of March, and the moon always tells us, the full moon always tells us, to surrender to the divine, because that is where our power lies, and that is where true power lies. Now, during this time, we're going to find that during this moon that Venus, the Sun, and Chiron are all in alignment with each other. So Chiron is known as the wounded warrior. So wounds from our past start to come up. And because we have the fierceness of the Sun in Aries kind of coming forward and saying, okay, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to be moving towards the healing, towards the power, towards the conquering. It might not be so focused on healing, but because we have Venus coming in, which is in mythology, Aphrodite and Aries were, of course, lovers. And so we have this Venus energy, which is going to kind of feel a little bit at home with Aries, or at least astoundingly passionate in Aries coming forward during this time. And this really helps us to highlight the emotions and the embodiment of what needs to be looked at in order for us to be confident, to be assured, to be able to look at things and to say, okay, this happened in the past, but it doesn't get to define me now. And we can see here that a lot of the new moon and the full moon in April is going to very strongly guide us. But we're going to see that it's because of everything that's coming up during this full moon in Libra. Now, Mercury and Neptune are in Pisces during this time, which is telling us to get out of our own heads and start to forgive. It's also connecting us with our ancestral line. Now, this is our ancestors. This is the history of the people who raised us, who cared for us. This is a sense of even the history of our world. We're going to be very connected with the essence of things. And it's not to judge and it's not to be angry because, well, history is aggravating and it's supposed to be. It's the folly of human nature is what history gets to be the study of. Whether it's celebrated or condemned, that is up to modern thinkers at our time. But to erase it is quite disturbing. And so here, there is a sense of needing to know, needing to understand, needing to embrace. And then we have the moon here, which is in Libra, which says a win-win outcome is forecast. It's bringing balance because we're looking at the past and we're looking at the present. We're looking at what we desire. We're also looking at what we don't want in our lives anymore. And that's what this moon also really highlights because the moon is ruled again by Venus. So we have the parallel and the polarizing energies of the sun in Aries, which is focusing on the self, and the moon in in Libra, which is focusing on others. And what we're going to find here is that that actually really helps us to move forward, to find this balance, and to really embrace this dance. Because with the moon being ruled by Venus, it's aligning ourselves with what needs to be resolved, the conflicts that need to be resolved. And we actually find ourselves kind of seeking these out. So if we had the emotional vulnerability just of Libra coming forward and saying, okay, I'm going to seek out what needs to be healed, and I'm going to do so with gusto during this time, we can find ourselves emotionally very vulnerable. But because the full moon, not the full moon, but the sun in Aries gives us this strength, gives us this fortification, it's like, oh my gosh, I can handle this. I see what needs to be done. I see the battles that need to be fought. Now, the moon, Saturn, and Mars make a perfect triangle during this time, which is called the Grand Trine. And this brings us protection, harmony, and ease. And because the Mars and Saturn are such intense planets, this also gives us determination, motivation, and staying power, amplified, of course, by Aries. Now, the signs that are going to be the most affected by this moon, and if we have these within our charts, it is going to be Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. If we have these within our charts, or if we're born on the cusp with Capricorn, we're going to see that part of our personality coming out more and more during this time. We have to be careful not to let seeking balance be our main goal and our main priority, because that can actually really start to blur things for us, because we're going to say, oh, as long as it's in harmony, or when I can find harmony, I will be. Some things aren't going to be harmonized. And those can be the things that we find really annoying during this time, because we want things to be ordered and to be calm and to be loving and to be beautiful. But when we see that sometimes we just kind of let the chaos do what it must, and kind of turn up what it must, we're going to find that we move forward even more brilliantly than we had thought. So it's kind of putting our faith in the hands of the divine. And I just see these hands kind of cradling us and saying, you're okay. Don't worry so much. And that can be very hard, because we want to make everything beautiful and perfect. We're going to be very drawn to beauty during this time. But we also have to realize that compromise is really important, even compromise with our spirit guides, with our divinity. That's really going to help us. This sense of friendliness and politeness is amplified by the full moon in Libra, and that leads us to being able to see two sides of the story, be able to embrace different outlooks and different minds and different understandings. And it's very much that air sign energy coming forward, which of course Aquarius we feel astoundingly comforted by, because we are of course air signs. Now it leads us to the new moon in Aries, which says a new beginning is coming, and to be prepared for the archway of these beginnings, walking through one portal to the other, kind of walking through one doorway into a new space, into a new world, into a new understanding. And it has here, what it says is that it's time to take action. And really it's taking the bull by the horns, or of course in this case it's taking the rams by the horns and saying, this is what I want, this is what I'm focused on. And this energy of Aries, just in this time frame, okay, and the Aries new moon of saying things are starting anew because I'm taking control of it. I'm looking at it, and we won't ever fully be in control. And that's kind of something that Aries can get hung up on. Like, I just need to be in control of this situation. If I'm strong-willed enough, if I'm feisty enough, if I'm determined enough, I can get there. No, there's going to be this like rocket fuel of determination that guides us forward. But there's also going to need to be the sense of stepping back and saying, all right, what is the balance? What is the compromise that I need to do to get me to where I want to be during this time? And yes, it's time to take action, but it's also time to be smart about the actions that I'm taking and about the understanding that I have. It then leads us to the full moon in Scorpio, which is what this full moon and new moon are preparing us for. And the full moon in Scorpio says it's time to release negativity. It's time to purge ourselves of the hurt, the pain, the disappointment that the wounded warrior is going to bring up, that this beautiful, passionate relationship of Venus and Aries is going to bring forward. It's all the negativity, it's all the doubt, it's all the conflict that we say, I see it, but I'm not ruled by it. I'm not destroyed by it. I am releasing this negativity and embracing the power that is me. It leads us to the wolf spirit during this time. Now, March, even though we're only in March for a little bit, March is ruled by the wolf spirit and the the whale spirit. The wolf spirit here says, turn knowledge into wisdom. And the whale spirit says, trust in the great mysteries. So life is all about turning our knowledge into wisdom, right? Everything that we accumulate, everything that we learn becomes the wisdom for which we live by. But the trusting in the great mysteries, this can be rather tricky during this time because we want to take action. We want to have things the way that we want them. And we can kind of feel like little kids, like 2-year-olds asserting their control within the world. It's like, no, I want this. No, I'm doing this. I will not. And we kind of feel that way. We kind of feel like our favorite word during this time is going to be no. But when we start to trust in the greater mysteries and we realize that the whale spirit is the symbolic inspiration of the record keeper of this earth. Again, it's like the history is so important. The essence of things, the understanding, the knowledge that it brings really starts to inspire us, has us look at things in a very different way. And this becomes a time where we start to listen to our inner voice, but we also start to listen to the inner vibrational understanding of the world. It's kind of like the whale song becomes very important to us. That vibrational, deep connectivity is very empowering. And it connects us to the power of our emotions, to the power of our desires, and it leads us to the wolf spirit. It leads us to turning knowledge into wisdom, which again is our goal in this world. You know, as we grow older, we grow wiser. And I know our world doesn't appreciate that. We sit there and we really think that, oh my gosh, if I could just stay young and pretty forever, that's what's important. And yeah, being young and pretty is nice. But getting older, feeling like we fit within our own skin, feeling like there's a place for us that we've carved out within this world. Knowing that there's history behind us and there's this really grand sense of understanding. That's exquisite. I mean, that's something that when I think of my grandparents and my great-grandma, who I was fortunate enough to know, I mean, when I look at them, when I look at their memory, I think, wow, they held so much and there was such beauty to them that when we're young, we just don't have. And yes, it's nice being young, of course, but there's a brilliance in aging. There really is. And it's a shame that our world doesn't see that. It's like we have to reclaim that during this time. And we just have to reclaim that period for ourselves because we're only ever getting older. And so here with the wolf spirit, it sharpens our intellect. It deepens our connections with the earth and what we want, but also with ourselves and our communities. And we're looking for freedom and we're trusting our instincts. And at this time, we really start to connect with our place within the world. The place that we might sit there and say, this is not where I'm staying, but also the place that we might really very well sit there and be contented with as we're meditating, as we're, embracing our energy and the truth of ourselves. Now, in April, we keep the wolf spirit as a spirit animal that watches over us. But now, instead of the whale, it is the hawk spirit that comes into play. And this says, let spirit be your guide, because spirit can see clearer and fly higher than we as human beings ever can. And the hawk spirit is symbolic of the great messenger of the spirit world. So we're going to get messages from spirit. And this becomes powerful focus for us, the messages that we get. It brings us to clarity of understanding and visions of what we want, and it increases our spiritual awakening and also our determination. So there is this sense of these spirit animals really being a guiding, beautiful source to us during this time. It leads us to our chakra message, which of course we had to fall out. One is truth with the throat chakra, and the other is Mother Earth with the Earth Star chakra, located 6 inches below our feet. The truth of the throat chakra is speak our truth because it balances us. It's the scales coming forward. It's that Libra energy, again, represented by the scales in the zodiac, that is so important to us. The balance of the warrior and the love, the emotions, the beauty, right, that Aphrodite brings, and the warrior that Aries brings to the situation. We're balancing both things, and we're seeing what is intrinsically important to us, but it's also like speak our truth. Even if people don't like it, even if people don't understand it, it's important for us. Now, we might not want to do this all the time because we might have different ideas than other people, and there's no need to get into a huge fight with everyone. But to live in our truth and to say, this is intrinsically important to me, this is really powerful stuff, that becomes beautiful. And the Earth Star chakra that's coming up here connects us with the earth, connects us with Mother Earth with this Earth Mother energy, which isn't just this loving, caring kind of hippie figure, it is also tornadoes and hurricanes and blizzards and lightning storms. It's intensity. And we're seeing both of that come forward. The loving and the healing, but also the intensity and the fierceness, which again plays off of the Aries Aphrodite, beauty that is here during this time. Our spirit guide message here is purposeful. When we embrace what we want, or as we're embracing this time frame, we do it with purpose. Being purposeful within our lives, within ourselves, within what we desire, within what we're looking for. It's kind of like we break things down into bite-sized pieces. Instead of overwhelming ourselves during this time, we act with purposeful intention. And it really leads us to being a student here of our passion, of what we desire. The sun is reflecting off of course, the light of the moon. And it's having us look at things with knowledge, with understanding, with insight. It's looking at things differently, saying, what am I supposed to be learning? What am I supposed to be understanding here? What is the greater question or the greater desire to what I want? The Page of Wands is curious, but the Page of Wands is also intrinsically passionate about the way that we're moving forward, about what we desire, about what we're looking at. And there's a sense here of the inner self being as wide-eyed and as curious as a child, as a person who says, I don't know, let me discover, let me see things new for the first time, let me embrace, what needs to be embraced, and let me look at what brings me joy and wonder. And that becomes very powerful for us because it starts to rekindle the passion that might have been kind of dwindling over the years, with more responsibilities coming in, with more things that have to be looked at logically and thisly and thatly. And it's like, okay, we just have to kind of be more grown up about everything and kind of buck it up. But here, it's really saying that there's a beauty that gets to be seen, and there's a beauty that gets to be part of us, and it moves us. And this is through the passion. It moves us to this place of fire, to this place of bringing back that light and that joy. And it also moves us to really embracing our hearts. With the Page of Cups, we are embracing what we love, what we desire. We're looking at it again and saying, well, what is it that is important to my heart, to my development, to my understanding, to my insights, to my ideas? What is it that I want to move me forward? What is it that I desire? And we're looking at our hearts in this very real way. And it's very much that, that Aries action and that Aphrodite love that comes forward. And it's so important to us during this time here because we feel it as air sign energy. We feel it. We embrace it. We build up the fire and we part the waters. And so here, there's just this sense of looking at love, and instead of saying, well, you know what, I could get hurt, or you know what, I have to not be silly, I have to be more pragmatic, and really looking at things and being very, very strict about everything. It's like, well, what does my heart want from this? And how does my heart discover it? And how do I embrace these emotions? And then it leads us to all these beautiful kind of curiosities coming to a head, all these beautiful, deeper understandings, deeper knowledge. And it brings us to the Nine of Swords, where we start to look at nightmares. And we start to say, but can I? And so all this beauty comes forward, but then the wounds come forward. And it's like, but I can't. I've been hurt and I've been overwhelmed, and life hasn't been fair, and I've had more hard times than I've had good times. And it's like, all of those are valid, but does it get to steal away the rest of the years? Does it get to steal away the hopes and the dreams that we have? Nightmares come. And the thing that I see with nightmares is that they're meant to be kind of turned. When we face our fears, we become braver, we become stronger. There's a countenance that changes about us, the way that the eyes look, the way that the face looks. There's a gravitas to us. And so here, it's looking at those nightmares, it's looking at that fear, that embodiment of fear, and it's conquering it. And it's putting that fear on our side. It's saying, yeah, okay, I was afraid of heights, but I started climbing and I had to face those fears. And now I'm pushing myself forward. Yes, I was afraid of, of getting lost, but I went and I discovered and I mapped a new path. It's like those things become the things that empower us. That when we have the fears come up again, it's like, okay, fair, I'm afraid. But look at that, I did it once. I can do it again. And that opens up the whole entire world to us in such a way that is absolutely beautiful, such a way that is astounding. It takes our breath away. The world opens and we see things, not in the sense of, oh, where could I possibly belong in this world and I have nothing to offer to this world and, oh my gosh, everybody knows everything so much better than me. But to this place of, the world is extraordinary. And claiming my place within it is an extraordinary part of why I'm here. And we might find that going along with everybody, that's part of our place. We like it. We like that connection and that the way of doing things is right. But for so many of us that, become a part of this family, that have stumbled on this channel, being different is what we're all about. We're more empathic, so we're more emotionally inclined. We're looking for deeper meaning, deeper understanding. We get ensnared by narcissists and our own doubts and our own fears, which, of course, the narcissists play off of. And so here, we're looking at, how do I strengthen me so that I can be tremendously in charge and capable and bountiful within my existence, within what I want. And so when I look at the world, I don't feel completely overwhelmed. I feel at peace. I feel like I've carved out a little bit of my sanctuary. And maybe it is stepping back, and it's not knowing that we want to step back from all the bustle and the chaos into something calmer and quieter and more suited to the vibrational energy of our being. It leads us, as we embrace the world, it leads us to the Three of Cups. For me, always, the Three of Cups in our hearts and anywhere is the people that were supposed to celebrate us. They are the people that are supposed to celebrate us, but just can't. And it's hard, especially when these people were parents, or our parents, our, siblings, our friends, our lovers, our spouses, our partners. It's hard when we think, wow, that person won't let me fall, or that person has my back, and I trust them. Because again, that empathic element comes up, and that sense of trust, and that sense of emotional commitment, and that sense of, I have your back, so of course you have mine. That can become detrimental. And when we see that some people just can't, they can't celebrate us, we can start to crack, we can start to get really, really hurt, and think, oh my gosh, I made a terrible mistake. Like, I can't even trust my own judgment. And that's what's crowding our hearts here. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't trust my own judgment. But the knowledge that is coming forward and the healing that is coming forward is having us see things and people in different lights, in different understandings. And the Three of Cups is really turning us into powerful, powerful people, because we start to rely on ourselves. We don't say, oh my gosh, I can't trust anybody, so I have to be cold and distant. But it's, I have the strength to pull me forward. I have the strength to keep on being able to love, to keep on being able to trust, to open up the doors and to see more of what I want. And it brings us then to the King of Wands. It brings us to our passion, to not being afraid to roll up our sleeves, not being afraid to go after what we want. The King of Wands is this amplification, of course, and we have it right here with the Page of Wands, the King of Wands, and, well, if this one was down further, and of Aries coming forward. And it's like, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is what sets my heart on fire. This is what I love from life. This is what I'm going after. And I get to embrace my joy. I get to embrace my prosperity. I get to look at where I want to be within my life, and I get to move it forward openly, honestly, and truthfully. The King of Wands is not afraid of getting his hands dirty. The King of Wands is not afraid of looking at things differently. The King of Wands says, this is what I need from my life, and I'm going to make it happen, because I am embracing the passion, the determination, the focus, and the brilliance that is me. And it leads us then to the Five of Swords. It leads us to facing emotionally something that has crippled us before, which is not what we want to do. During this moon, we would really rather just kind of like sit back, eat grapes, be with our loved ones, embrace romance. I mean, that would be really great. And that's what we want to do, okay, on the surface. But deep down inside, we want to heal. And this moon is pushing us to heal. And so with the Five of Swords, we're looking at the hurts and the pains and the disappointments. We're looking at the situations that made us feel small and as if we didn't have a voice and as if we couldn't keep up or stand against certain people. And now we're going to find that there's a strength to us, that there's a brilliance to us that gets to be embodied, that gets to be emboldened, that gets to be in love with our lives and ourselves. And that we are finding that we're stronger than we thought we were. We're more than we gave ourselves credit for. And it leads us to the Hierophant, which is the repeat of the number 5, which is a freedom number. So we have the repeat of the pages. So we're students here, but we're also, through being a student, through learning, through understanding, through gaining a greater comprehension, we're embracing our freedom. And the Hierophant is saying that this is what I'm good at. This is who I am. So instead of poo-pooing our gifts and saying, well, it's not like everybody else's, so it doesn't count, or, oh, it's more sensitive, or it's more quiet, oh, it's more artistic, or, oh, it's like quirky, people laugh. Instead of saying that, we say, there's brilliance to me. There's bounty to me. There's power to me. And I get to embrace it. And actually by embracing this energy, because the Hierophant is the only person who can tell the Emperor energy, the Aries energy, what to do. The Hierophant is the person is represented by the Pope in the major arcana. And the Pope in medieval times could tell emperors, empresses, kings and queens what to do. And they did. So here, there is that power of, this is my truth. This is who I am. And it's not saying that our truth gets to erode what other people think or what happened. It means that by saying, but this is me, like this is what I need. Like whether I'm introverted or extroverted, whether I'm, have a booming voice or speak quietly. There are things here that just make up who we are. And that becomes the truth for which we live by, and the way that we see things, and the way that we embrace things. So the Hierophant here is talking about embracing that power, embracing that understanding, gaining this determination, but also this acceptance of self. And it leads us then to the Three of Swords. And the Three of Swords breaks our hearts. In the public arena, we're looking at the wounds and the pains and the disappointments that were heartbreaking to us, that, illuminated weaknesses within us, that we wanted to hide away from, shy away from. And what the Three of Swords is showing us, because, again, of the wounded warrior, because of the sense of needing to illuminate what has made us weak, we understand and we see that these are the hurts that we need to look at. These are the scars that we need to face. These are the memories and the monsters of the people in our lives that are still haunting us, that are still dragging us down. And we find our freedom because of this, because we address the swords and we pull them out. We set ourselves free. We become armed with what once harmed us. It leads us to the Emperor. It leads us to being passionate and powerful, claiming a throne, claiming a voice. There's a sense in the public arena that there's a bravery that comes over us, Aquarius. Bravery, determination, focus, insight. And it's like, I'm going for it. I'm not just going to wait for it to happen. I'm not going to sit back and say, oh, maybe one day. I'm going after what I want, what I need. And nobody and nothing is going to hold me back. I'm making choices, and instead of second guessing myself 18 million times, I'm sticking to those choices and saying, well, if it was a mistake, I'll fix it later. And I keep on moving forward in this determination, in the sense of grandeur that's coming. And it brings us to the Ten of Swords, dying away of the old self, a rebirth of the new. This is the darkness before the dawn. This is the hurt, the pain, the disappointment, the anger, the upset that laid us flat, that took away our blessings, that, were accumulated over 10 years of living, a decade of life. And each sword represents a pain that was taught to us that year, a hurt, a betrayal that happened. But each sword at this time becomes a wealth of knowledge. Remember, back in ancient times and up to relatively recently, once a battle was done, you wouldn't just leave everybody and not collect the weapons. I'm not sure about modern warfare. I would believe they go back and collect things. Yes, they do, actually. So even today, we don't just leave things out to fall away. If we can, we go back and we collect what needs to be collected. The swords would have been collected because they were more valuable than gold. Swords took so much time, so much effort, so much work to create, and only nobility was allowed to hold a sword. And it's so interesting that the sword is the mind in the tarot, but the sword is the only weapon. And it's the weapon that signifies nobility. It's not a longbow, it's not a weapon that was used by everybody. It's a weapon that signifies nobility. And so as we go through the stages of the swords, and here we come to the final stage, we come to the completion of the cycle in the same line. And it's interesting, this line is all swords. We face our nightmares. Our nightmares are things that we have faced before that we really don't think that we can pull ourselves out of. And here, it's actually pulling ourselves out of those fears, of those nightmares, of embracing a greater way forward than we had realized. And it becomes this point of pride in our public arena, in our lives. It's like, I am not being held back anymore. I refuse to be silenced. I refuse to be walked over. I refuse to pull myself back. And it leads us to the Knight of Cups. It leads us to becoming the warrior of our hearts, of what we love and what we want, and that Venus energy of Libra, but also of Aries, coming forward and saying, there is beauty and there is brilliance here. I have my armor on. Why? Because I've been burnt before, and I'm not going to be a fool. But I'm moving forward with confidence, with determination, with focus, and with insight to me, to what I desire, and to where I need to be. So let's see what the moon has to say for herself. How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the March 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Assessing fear and changing. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. We're assessing our fears and we're changing it. Patience, because it takes time. The energy gains momentum. Meditate and contemplate. A time to give rather than take. Expect powerful change. Show the world the real you. I like it. So here we are assessing the situations. We're assessing where we are. We're assessing what we want. We're students. We're learning. We're gaining understanding. It leads us to looking at our fears, looking at what has held us back, looking at what has caged us, how we are breaking that cage, how we are letting ourselves shine forward, not hide away. And that starts to change everything as we, look at the world, as we, face our nightmares, because this is over. Fear is over the Nine of Swords. It leads us to being patient, because we have to be patient, because, Rome wasn't built in a day and it didn't fall in a day. Change takes time. And then at times it seems to happen all at once. So be patient with what we are embracing, with how we are moving forward, with what we are looking at. The energy gains momentum. We gain momentum. And we see things and embrace things differently than before because we're gaining this momentum, this insight. And meditation and contemplation is important because it centers us. It moves us in a very different direction than if we just say, oh, just jump, just go, just don't think about it, just go, 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 go. Meditate and contemplate. It's going to be connecting you with what the heart truly wants, what the heart longs for, what the heart is seeing, and also with the essence of self. It leads us then to a time to give rather than take. It's a time to give to ourselves rather than to take away from us. It's a time to give to the world rather than taking. But also we have to remember the balance here of give and take, the harmony that needs to be embraced. It moves us then to expect powerful change, to kind of bleed through, to move us forward in ways that we hadn't anticipated. And it's time to show the world who we really are. Not who the world wants us to be, but who we truly, instinctually, and powerfully are. It moves us to our subconscious Luna message, which is fruition. We're bringing to fruition what we focus on. So be mindful of the mind. That's why meditation and contemplation is so important. It brings us then, to, again, this is now the full moon in Pisces. Here it's the new moon in Pisces. Balance spirituality and practicality. What is spiritually needed and what is practically wanted. It brings us then to subconscious chakra message, which is meditation, the crown chakra. Our hearts and our heads start to connect. And that's going to be beautiful. That's going to be so powerful. So again, meditation is coming through so powerfully. It brings us to our subconscious spirit message, which here is manifest. We're manifesting our dreams, our desires, what we want, because we're looking at what we focus on, or what we're focusing on. And this leads us to our subconscious tarot message, which is the Queen of Swords. This is not only amplifying the full moon in Libra, but it's amplifying our own Aquarius energy. And this is saying here that we are queens. It's very interesting because Spirit was saying that in the heart. And I thought, oh, don't say queen because, you don't know who's watching and, don't make assumptions. But here, it's that queen energy that's coming forward. It's that person who doesn't need to be center stage. And so here we are embracing that queen energy of understanding, of contemplation, the warrior queen, of cutting through doubts and fears and embracing what our heart longs for and what we most greatly desire. But also what we know to be true. We're changing things. We're changing the course of our world. That's why the meditation, the heart and the mind coming together is so important. All right, Aquarius, I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I am sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we change our world by facing our fears. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Aquarius, and may you have a blessed moon.